Okay, we are on the play. And we have no green mana. What can we do with this hand? Turn 1, bolt a creature if they play one. Turn 2, Tormenting Voice away the Root Walla. Turn 3, Lightning Axe away the Fiery Temper. That seems good enough. We got a little bit of time to find green. Let's keep this hand. See what it can do. If we're not facing a creature deck, then we're going to be in trouble. But if we're able to greatly disrupt our opponent's plan with all this removal, then we should be able to buy enough time to find our own creatures. They mulligan to 6 and put a card on the bottom. Instead of Lightning Bolt turn 1, I can also Lightning Axe turn 1 and discard Root Walla if I just want to get Root Walla down as soon as possible. But that seems pretty inefficient to use a Lightning Axe on what is presumably going to be a 3 or 2 toughness target. Alright, Fairy Miscreant. Looks like we're up against the Mono Blue Delver match yet another time. Alright, Lightning Bolt takes it down. Basking Root Walla is generally not super impressive, but just having a mana 0 is so good with Faithless Looting and Tormenting Voice, since you're already spending your mana on those things and you don't generally have a lot left over to cast something. Alright, got a Delver of Secrets. Let's see. I think I'm going to just attack here. I want to play a tap land this turn, and I'm perfectly fine with them trading off their Delver for our Root Walla. Their Delver is going to be a lot scarier in the long game than the Root Walla will be. Okay. And I could try to Lightning Axe, discarding Root Walla right now before they untap and have Counterspell or Spellstutter Sprite available. I could wait till their upkeep and see whether they reveal to Delver, but that's letting them have 2 mana, which isn't great. What do I want to do? I think I'm just going to do it right now. It's a little bit inefficient using a Lightning Axe on a Delver, and if they go, untap, slam Spire Golem for 3 mana, then it's going to be annoying because I'm going to have to pump a Root Walla and also Lightning Temper to get past that, because I'll have thrown away a Lightning Axe. But I think this play is good enough, especially with the untapped forest next turn, where I can pump both Root Wallas every turn and hit for 6, that I'm going to do that now. So let's try it and see if they can do anything about it. Alright, Delver of Secrets is down. And as you can see from our last matchup, they actually had Vapor Snag and Snap in their deck. So just because we see one doesn't mean we can't play around the other. Or just because we see one doesn't mean we can choose to not play around the other. We probably should always be playing around both, at least to whatever extent that we can. Here, if they want to waste a Snap just to gain some life, that's fine with me. I suppose it also gives them an opportunity to counter it on the way back down, but I definitely need to get my beat down on here. I have them on a 3-turn clock if I can resolve this Fiery Temper, so 6, 6, 6, and then the 3 from the Temper. Spellstutter's coming down, which probably means Ninja is going to be coming in for the Spellstutter. No, they just want to equip it up, okay. Let's see what I can draw. Another Root Walla. Alrighty. This is kind of obvious what's happening here, that I don't have the mana to pump both of these and also trade off with the Spire Golem. But it looks like they're going to let me through, so that's fine. Resolve yet another Root Walla. And now the question is what I do with this Fiery Temper. If I hit down the Spellstutter, then it stops the damage there and it reduces the fairy count. However, then I have this Spire Golem to deal with, and once it gets equipped to the Bone Splitter, then I'm in trouble. If there was no Bone Splitter, I could just pump whatever it blocks and then pump an unblocked thing and get in for 4 a turn. But it being a 4/4 is obviously a huge problem. I think I'm just going to wait and not kill the Spell Stutter quite yet. I don't mind taking the 3 damage. It might prove important, so let's see. Preordained goes bottom and bottom, so they probably found some islands they didn't want. Taking 3 again here. And they're moving the Bone Splitter very intelligently. And an Arrogant Worm. Well, that's pretty bad against Daze or Counterspell. It gets past Spell Stutter Sprite. So I can either try to attack this turn, pump the Root Wall of Spire Golem blocks, and then Fiery Temper, which is also bad against Counterspell and Daze / Force Spike. Or I can just cast the Arrogant Worm. I think I have the time that I'm just going to cast the Arrogant Worm. And hope that this resolves. Okay, it did. Now they have to use a snap on that, or I'm going to start getting to get to bash with it. They can't really afford to attack with the Spire Golem and put us on a clock, because then the Basking Root Walls get in too easily. Alright, looks like they are though. Let's see what plan they have or what they drew. A Mongrel. Okay, I'll put this out here as counterspell bait. I don't mind if they counter this, because what I really want to do is be able to shoot down this Spell Stutter. Alright, that worked somehow. And now we get to bash for 9. Unless they have a bounce spell. And if they had a bounce spell, they probably would have bounced their own Spell Stutter in response to us trying to bolt it. Alright, it looks like they drew a few too many islands, and we should be winning this damage race now. Since all of these things can attack for 3, so we have 5 lethal threats. Alright, on to sideboarding. Same old plan again. Nothing particularly tricky about their deck. That's different from build to build. And let's go. Okay, this hand's fine. It's certainly nice having 3 Pyroblast in your sideboard when you're getting matched against Mono Blue Delver 3 times in the same league. And that's not even counting the 5th match if we end up getting paired against them again. Alright, they mulligan to 5 and put a card on the bottom, so this is going to be great. Just going to bolt this right off the bat. They presumably don't have Daze in their hand because they just F6 through our turn. Try to resolve this Mongrel. And they have a counterspell. We could have also potentially waited a turn and held up in Pyroblast, but because they already mulliganed so far down, I think it was worth it trying to go for it so we could curve the Mongrel into the Arrogant Worm on turn 3. They choose to shuffle with this Ponder, and they miss their 3rd land drop. Another Pyroblast. Okay. Well, if we can't discard this, we're going to have to find a 2nd green source to cast it. Another Fiery Temper, okay. Just a Spell Stutter. I'm going to let this resolve. We have enough Pyroblast and Firies we can fight over it if they try to do anything scary. Okay, that's sufficient reason to shoot that down, I think. If that's the only game plan that they have, we can shoot this while they don't have any bounce available to rebuy it. Reduces their fairy count. There's just a whole host of reasons. Alright, and now we can start getting our beatdown on. Spire Golem would be very scary here because we can't Pyroblast it. They do not equip Bone Splitter, which is pretty odd. Should I try for the Pyroblast here? I think I'm going to try for the Pyroblast here. Try to bait out a counter spell if they have it, or maybe a Vapor Snag, rebuying their own fairies. Okay, so that worked. Goes away. Alright, they acted like they were going to tap a mana. It looks like they're going to Vapor Snag it after I pump it, which is fine. And it's just buying them a little bit of time. Okay, that goes back to my hand. Delver of Secrets. Okay. I could also be Pyroblasting that on the stack, because Vapor Snag lets them rebuy it if I try to kill it with Pyroblast once it resolves. But I don't really mind if they choose to use their Vapor Snag in that way. Fairy Miscreant. Equip it, okay. Still not hitting that land drop. Move that out of our way. Now we get to resolve our Arrogant Worm. Oh, and we drew Electricity as well. I could play around a Daze effect, but they've been F6ing so much, I don't think they're playing with Daze. Alright, there's a Spire Golem. And I can either Electricity that or Fiery Temper. And I think I'm going to Electricity, I want to say. Yeah. I'd rather say the Fiery Temper, since it can deal with another Spire Golem easier. And I don't really care about these 1 toughness things. They're not going to slow us down much. Alright. Boom. Lightning Axe. Discard the Blood Mad. They can counter either one of these spells and it doesn't really matter. That's why I'm doing this main phase, so they can't block the Root Wall even to gain some life. They most likely will counter it, or they would have equipped Bone Splitter, so they could actually trade off with Root Walla. Alright, they're choosing to counter the removal spell, it's fine. Letting the Blood Mad come through. Bash for 7. Alright, looks like a ninja is coming in. Fairy Miscreant is the only card in their hand. They draw another one, another card. Okay, and they are dead on board. Well, not quite dead on board. They're dead on board if you include the Fiery Temper, which I could hit them with, or I could hit the Miscreant with. Alright, and we win the match. We're now 2-1 over Mono Blue Delver and 0-1 to Elves, and we got 1 matchup remaining. Let's see what we can do.